His mother was critically ill, and his fiancée brought a rich heir to his door to break off their engagement, even snatching away his family's heirloom jadeite bracelet. But who would have thought that driven to a dead end, this poor security guard would awaken the clairvoyant divine eye? And it all started a few hours ago. Late at night, in the security room of a high-end residential community in Binhai City, Lin Feng pulled his uniform tighter, staring at the message on his phone from his mother's attending doctor. The doctor said the medical fees for the next stage of treatment had to be paid within 3 days, or they'd have to stop her medication. During the day, Lin Feng worked as a porter at the Jade Rough factory, and at night, he took on a part-time job as a security guard in this community. But the money he earned was nowhere near enough to cover his mother's surgery fees. Just then, the security captain, Li Kuei, knocked loudly on the booth's window, interrupting Lin Feng's thoughts. Looking impatient, Li Kuei urged, "Lin Feng, Miss Su from room 606 wants you to head up there right now." Lin Feng checked the time. It was already 10:30 p.m. Li Kuei gave a sarcastic snort, telling him to stop dawdling. Actually, the whole security team knew that the owner of 606, Su Qingxue, was the youngest, most beautiful wealthy woman in the community. She usually ignored the other guards, but she had a soft spot for Lin Feng. Previously, Su Qingxue had sprained her ankle coming home late at night, and Lin Feng happened to help her out. After that, the two got to know each other. This made Captain Li Kuei extremely jealous, and he constantly picked on Lin Feng for no reason. Lin Feng arrived at 606 and rang the bell. The door opened quickly. Su Qingxue was wearing a loose silk nightgown, her neckline slightly open. She welcomed Lin Feng inside, saying the light in her room had suddenly broken and was flickering scarily. Since the property maintenance staff were off duty, she was a bit scared of the dark all by herself. After checking, Lin Feng found that the light tube was broken. Su Qingxue quickly brought over a new tube and a screwdriver. To change the light, Lin Feng took off his shoes and stepped onto the bedside table, while Su Qingxue held the table from below, looking up at him. From Lin Feng's higher vantage point, Su Qingxue's already loose neckline was almost completely exposed. Lin Feng froze for a second, swallowed hard, and could only speed up his work. Once the new tube was in place, Lin Feng looked down to press the switch, but his feet had gone numb from standing on his tiptoes for too long. Losing his balance, he fell straight off the bedside table. Startled, Su Qingxue instinctively reached out to catch him, and as a result, the two of them tumbled heavily onto the soft carpet together. Lin Feng's face landed squarely in Su Qingxue's chest. As he scrambled to push himself up, his hand accidentally pressed against an even softer, more delicate spot. Lin Feng sprang back like he'd been electrocuted, his face flushed red as he apologized repeatedly. I am sorry, Miss Su, I didn't mean to." Su Qingxue sat up, pulling her slipped collar together. Blushing all the way to her ears, she asked, her voice barely a whisper.
It's fine. Is the light? Is it working?
Stammering that it was fixed, Lin Feng quickly found an excuse and left the room. After getting off work and returning to his rented apartment, Lin Feng lay on his bed, the sensation from earlier still lingering in his mind. Suddenly, an extremely impatient pounding on the door violently interrupted his thoughts. Lin Feng got up to open the door, and his expression instantly froze. Standing at the door was his girlfriend, Zhang Yao, along with Li Zhe, a famous rich heir in Binhai City. Behind Li Zhe stood a burly bodyguard. At this moment, Zhang Yao's hand was naturally hooked around Li Zhe's arm. A bad feeling rose in Lin Feng's heart as he asked why they had come together. Li Zhe sneered. Without waiting for an invitation, he wrapped his arm around Zhang Yao's shoulder and forcefully pushed his way into the room, looking around the cramped space in disgust. "Even my dog's kennel is better than this place." Zhang Yao followed him in, looking at Lin Feng as if he were a stranger.
Can't you tell what this means? Lin Feng, I'm here to break off our engagement. I'm now young master, Li's girlfriend.
She deliberately patted the Hermes bag she was carrying, and said in a harsh tone,
Look, this is what a real man should give. And you, a stinking security guard, picking up a few broken rough stones at the Jade Rough factory, dreaming of striking it rich. What else can you give me? Plus, with a dying mother, what kind of future can you offer me?
Lin Feng clenched his fists, glaring at the two in front of him. "Zhang Yao, my mother is still in the hospital. Even if you want to break up, there's no need to come to my door just to insult me." But Zhang Yao showed no mercy.
What does your mother's illness have to do with me? Lin Feng, don't try to guilt trip me. I see absolutely no hope being with you. Young Master Li can give me everything. Can you?
Li Zhe smugly wrapped his arm around Zhang Yao's waist, took a step forward, and looked Lin Feng up and down with contempt. "Hear that? A pauper should just accept his fate. You can't even support your own woman and your old mother. Take a good look in the mirror and see what a loser you are." Then, his eyes fell on the few rough stones in the corner of the rented room, and he let out a scoff.
Just looking at these broken stones of yours, I can tell right away they're nothing but trash.
His mother's critical illness, the crushing financial pressure, and now his girlfriend's betrayal, it all pushed Lin Feng to his absolute breaking point.
Say that again, you bastard.
He roared, throwing a fierce punch straight at Li Zhe. But before he could even touch him, the burly bodyguard behind Li Zhe lunged forward, twisting Lin Feng's wrist and pinning him hard against the wall. Pinching his nose, Li Zhe urged, "Yao Yao, grab whatever you need and let's go. This dump stinks, and I don't want to stay a second longer." Pinned against the wall, Lin Feng gritted his teeth and demanded to know what Zhang Yao was doing. Without even glancing at him, she tossed back,
"Taking what's mine, obviously,"
and marched straight into the bedroom to rummage through his things. Soon enough, she dug out a red brocade box from an old shoebox at the bottom of the wardrobe. Opening it, she revealed a translucent, lustrous jadeite bracelet. Zhang Yao smirked triumphantly. She walked out with the bracelet and, right in front of Lin Feng, slowly slipped it onto her own wrist. Lin Feng's eyes nearly popped out of his head. He struggled desperately, shouting,
Zhang Yao, put the bracelet down. My mom left that for her future daughter-in-law. You don't deserve it.
It was a family heirloom his mother had personally handed to him, telling him to put it on his bride's wrist when he got married. Even with his mother critically ill and the medical bills piling up, Lin Feng had never once thought of selling it. But Zhang Yao just walked up to the restrained Lin Feng, raising her wrist to let the jadeite bracelet catch the light.
I don't deserve it. Lin Feng, take a good look. A beautiful bracelet like this only shines when it's on my wrist. With you, it'll just rot in this garbage dump, never seeing the light of day, just like you.
She leaned in and patted Lin Feng's cheek with the hand wearing the bracelet, her tone dripping with venom.
Look at you right now, pinned to the floor like a dead dog. You can't even save your own mother, and you're still dreaming of getting married. Keep dreaming. I'm taking this bracelet as compensation for the youth I wasted on you all these years.
Li Zhe walked over, wrapping his arm around Zhang Yao. He mocked Lin Feng for being a useless loser who didn't deserve nice things, let alone a woman like Zhang Yao. Furious, Lin Feng roared,
Screw you both, you scum couple. This is daylight robbery. Zhang Yao, you bitch, put the bracelet down.
That curse instantly pissed off Li Zhe.
Fuck, you dare curse at me. Teach him a lesson. Make sure this pauper remembers his place.
Without a word, the bodyguard unleashed a flurry of punches and kicks on Lin Feng. Lin Feng was no match for him and was quickly beaten to the ground. Watching Lin Feng writhe in pain, Li Zhe spat out the word, trash. He then pulled Zhang Yao closer, bragging that this was what happened when you messed with him. Zhang Yao watched coldly, a twisted smile of satisfaction on her lips, and muttered that he deserved it. Before leaving, Li Zhe delivered one last vicious kick to Lin Feng's stomach. Lin Feng cried out in pain, crashing heavily into a dusty, ancestral wooden box in the corner. The wooden box shattered instantly, and a dull, gray stone tumbled out, splitting into two halves. Suddenly, a faint, almost imperceptible phantom of a golden dragon shot out from the broken stone, instantly vanishing into Lin Feng's tightly shut eyes. An indescribable, agonizing pain exploded in his eyes. Lin Feng screamed, clutching his face as he curled up on the floor. A fragmented voice echoed faintly in his mind. The heavenly Tao is flawed. This divine I is also flawed. A dozen seconds later, the searing pain receded like the tide. Drenched in cold sweat, Lin Feng collapsed on the floor, gasping for air. When he finally moved his hands away, he was shocked to find his vision blurring at first, before sharpening to an extraordinary degree. He instinctively looked at his phone, and his gaze actually pierced right through the plastic casing, revealing the intricate circuit board inside with crystal clarity. Lin Feng's heart pounded wildly. He realized he had awakened the X-ray vision. He immediately turned his gaze to the scrap stones in the corner, the ones he had picked up from the stone gambling market. The next second, his eyes locked onto a palm-sized piece of black wuxia skin scrap. It was a tip the boss had casually tossed him after he helped move some goods. But right now, clearly visible inside this piece of scrap, was an egg-sized, glowing halo of lustrous green. Drawing on the knowledge he had gathered at the Jade Rough Factory, Lin Feng recognized it instantly. It was ice glutinous yang green. Though it wasn't big, with this level of clarity and color, carving out a few plaques or pendants would easily fetch around 200,000. His mother's medical bills were finally covered. Fighting back his excitement, Lin Feng scrambled to his feet. He dug out the small grinder he usually used for windowing, and carefully polished the stone along the green edges he could see with his X-ray vision. A few minutes later, he wiped the cut with a damp cloth, and a bright, watery streak of green was instantly exposed under the light. Confirming that his X-ray vision was real, a massive weight lifted off Lin Feng's chest. He muttered coldly, Zhang Yao, oh Zhang Yao, you break off our engagement, and the very next moment I awaken my X-ray vision. I wonder if you'll regret this later. Just as he said that, his phone rang. It was the hospital. The nurse on the line coldly informed him that if the surgery fees weren't paid by midnight tonight, the hospital would stop all treatments for his mother, and he needed to have her discharged as soon as possible. Lin Feng frantically begged for a 2-day extension, but the nurse stated it was hospital policy, no money by midnight, take her away. Then, she hung up. Ignoring his injuries, Lin Feng wrapped the rough stone he had just performed windowing on in a soft cloth, hailed a cab, and rushed straight to the hospital. By the time he arrived at the inpatient building, it was almost 11 at night. Lin Feng dashed into the lobby and headed straight for the payment window to cover the surgery fees for his mother, Xiao Wanru. The staff checked the records and told him that the initial surgery and follow-up treatments would require an upfront payment of 150,000 yuan. Lin Feng's heart tightened. This was 50,000 more than his estimated 100,000. He took a deep breath and hesitantly asked the staff if they accepted jade or if he could pay with items of value. The staff looked at him like he was an idiot.
Sir, are you out of your mind from panic? This is a regular hospital. We only take cash or cards. If you want to cash that in, go to a jewelry store or antique market. If you don't have the money, don't hold up the line.
The people in line behind him also started urging him impatiently. Some cursed him for wasting time, while others mocked him for wearing a security guard uniform and trying to fool people with a rock. A middle-aged man simply reached out and shoved Lin Feng aside. Lin Feng stumbled from the push but held tightly to the cloth bundle in his hands. Amidst the disdainful stares of the crowd, he figured he'd better hurry outside and find a pawnshop that was still open. Just then, a woman's voice on the phone came from the nearby waiting area.
Manager Li, I'll say this one last time. My Su Kingxia's Guixu Pavilion does not accept inferior goods, especially for the mid to high-end line. Anything below glutinous species, with impure color or insufficient transparency, will be rejected. I'd rather have nothing than settle for less. Quality is our bottom line.
Lin Feng found the voice very familiar. He whipped his head around and realized the woman on the phone was actually Sister Su, the beautiful owner of apartment 606, whose light tube he had just helped change a few hours ago. Knowing that this Sister Su was the boss of Tsueyu Pavilion, Lin Feng suddenly felt like he had found a way out of his desperate situation. Suppressing his excitement, he quickly walked over and patiently waited for Su Qingxue to finish her call. As soon as she hung up, he immediately went up and called out, "Sister Su." Su Qingxue turned her head, looked slightly surprised to see Lin Feng, and asked why he was here. Lin Feng quickly explained the situation, saying his mother was hospitalized and urgently needed surgery fees. He mentioned he just heard she was looking for high-quality jade, and he happened to have a piece of ice glutinous yan green that had just undergone windowing, asking if she was interested in taking a look. Su Qingxue, who was just stressing over her supply, smiled faintly and asked Lin Feng to show it to her. Half the heavy burden in Lin Feng's heart lifted as he reached into his jacket, ready to take out the rough stone wrapped in soft cloth. Right at that moment, a mocking voice suddenly rang out.
Yo ho, look who it is. Isn't this the neighborhood security guard, Lin Feng?
Lin Feng's body stiffened. He saw Lianshan with his arm around Zhang Yao, strolling out from the corner of the corridor carrying a fruit basket. Zhang Yao was snuggled in Lianshan's arms, and the jadeite bracelet belonging to Lin Feng's mother on her wrist was exceptionally glaring. She looked at Lin Feng, her eyes full of disdain.
What's up, Lin Feng? What are you doing here? Scamming people with your pile of trash rocks again?
Lianshan walked up close, his gaze sweeping over Lin Feng and Su Qingxue. In a frivolous tone, he warned Su Qingxue not to be fooled, claiming Lin Feng was an absolute fraud, a pauper, and a stinky security guard. Zhang Yao chimed in with a shrill voice.
Lin Feng, do you have no shame? You can't scrape together your mom's surgery fees, so you come to the hospital to swindle people?
The gazes of the people around them gathered once again, whispering that Lin Feng was a scammer. Lin Feng instantly clenched his fists. Looking at this couple, especially the stolen jade bracelet on Zhang Yao's wrist, he wanted nothing more than to slap them to death right then and there. But he knew saving his mother was the most important thing right now. Ignoring the two of them, Lin Feng turned back to Su Qingxue, ready to show the rough stone. Seeing this, Lianshan sneered, his voice growing louder.
Come on, let everyone open their eyes and see what kind of treasure a security guard can pull out. It's not the bottom of a beer bottle picked up from the roadside, is it? Ha ha ha.
Zhang Yao also started giggling along. With a solemn movement, Lin Feng uncovered the soft cloth in his bag. A piece of jade that had undergone windowing, revealing a rich yang green color, emitted an alluring radiance under the hospital lights. The fine texture and abundant transparency formed a strong visual contrast with the rough outer skin. The surrounding crowd immediately gasped in surprise, not expecting this kid to actually have a top-tier item in his hands. The sneer on Lia's face instantly froze, his eyes widening into saucers. Zhang Yao's smug smile also stiffened into astonishment. A stunning light burst from Su Qingshue's eyes. Just from the appearance alone, she could tell this was a rare, top-grade material, and she directly asked Lin Feng how much he wanted to sell it for. Lin Feng took a deep breath and stated the price with absolute certainty. Sister Su, I want to sell it for 200,000. Hearing this number, Lia yelled as if his tail had been stepped on. 200,000. Lin Feng, are you crazy from being poor? You dare ask for 200,000 for this broken rock? Look, beauty, what did I tell you? He's just a scammer who's gone mad for money. Zhang Yao also snapped back to reality and shrieked.
Exactly. Lin Feng, hurry up and put away your little trick. Stop embarrassing yourself here.
Before she could finish, Su Qingshu coldly spat out 2 words.
Shut up. I know better than you what kind of person Shaolin is.
Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried the authority of someone long accustomed to power, instantly choking back the rest of Li Zhe and Zhang Yao's words. Then, Su Qingshu told Lin Feng she needed to do a quick verification. She skillfully used her phone's flashlight to observe it, confirming that the transition between the skin and the windowing area was flawless, proving it was a natural-grade jade of excellent quality. After confirming it was good jade, Su Qingshu asked Lin Feng if he wanted a check, cash, or a transfer. Lin Feng chose a transfer without hesitation and took out his phone to open his payment code. After Su Qingshu operated her phone, a notification sound immediately rang out from Lin Feng's phone. Ding!
200,000 yuan has arrived in your wealth pay account.
The entire hall instantly became so quiet you could hear a pin drop, and everyone was dumbfounded. Lia's face turned the color of pig liver, his mouth hanging open, unable to speak for a long time. Zhang Yao's face was even paler. She looked down at the jade bracelet on her wrist and suddenly felt it wasn't so appealing anymore. Lin Feng was trembling all over. He had never seen so much money before. Seeing that things were going south, Lia and Zhang Yao took advantage of everyone's distraction and slipped away into the crowd with their tails between their legs. Lin Feng turned his head and found the two gone, coldly making a mental note. Lia, Zhang Yao, you scum couple, my mom's bracelet is temporarily with you. Once I'm done with my mom's affairs, I'll personally go get it back. As for today's score, we'll settle it slowly. Then, he abruptly turned around, lunged at the counter of the payment window, and shouted eagerly, Xia Wanru, surgery fees, paid in full. After successfully paying, Lin Feng looked at the receipt in his hand, unable to calm down for a long time. He suppressed his inner excitement, walked quickly to Su Qingshu, and bowed deeply. Sister Su, thank you. Su Qingshu nodded slightly, put away the jade, and casually asked him where he got this material, reminding him that if he had similar good goods in the future, he must bring them directly to her. Although this sounded a bit like prying into his privacy, Lin Feng didn't mind, as she was, after all, a benefactor to him and his mother. He absolutely couldn't mention having X-ray vision, so he scratched his head, and just said he worked at the Jade Rough factory during the day, and someone gave him some scrap materials. He thought one of them looked a bit unusual, which was how he managed to cut out the jade. Su Qingshu was intrigued after hearing this, praising his sharp eye for picking up such a massive steal. She asked for Lin Feng's number, mentioning that her Tsuyu pavilion might need him to appraise items in the future, and then left the hospital. After exchanging numbers, Lin Feng watched Su Qingshu's graceful figure walk away and, driven by some inexplicable impulse, activated his X-ray vision. His gaze instantly pierced through her clothes, revealing her breathtakingly perfect curves and a daringly sexy set of black lace lingerie. The bursting fullness in her slender waist made Lin Feng's blood rush, leaving his mouth completely dry. He marveled inwardly, this X-ray vision was simply invincible. He quickly looked away, turned off the vision, and repeatedly chanted, "Forgive me," in his head. That night, after the fees were paid, the hospital immediately arranged an emergency surgery for Lin Feng's mother. The surgery went smoothly. Seeing his mother wheeled back into the ward with steady breathing, Lin Feng's hanging heart finally settled. The next morning, Xia Wanru leaned against the hospital bed, holding Lin Feng's hand. Her face was full of worry as she asked where the 150,000 came from, terrified he had done something foolish. Lin Feng quickly comforted her, promising the money was earned completely legally. Just then, Su Qingshu called. She sounded a bit troubled, saying she had come across a strange piece of ancient jade. Several master appraisers and even outside experts couldn't figure it out, so she wanted Lin Feng to come over and take a look. Lin Feng glanced at his mother, and Xia Wanru urged him to go handle his business. Lin Feng agreed and hurried to Tsuyu Pavilion following the address. In the top-floor CEO's office of Tsuyu Pavilion headquarters, beside Su Qingshu, there was Wang Wei, a well-known master in the ancient jade appraisal circle, and Zhao Bin, a company executive. Right in the middle of the table sat an ancient jade, covered in dark brown color seeps and carved with intricate kuei dragon patterns. After receiving his call, Su Qingxue personally went downstairs to bring Lin Feng up. The moment Xiaobin saw the young, plainly dressed Lin Feng, a look of disdain crossed his face. President Su, the expert you mentioned wouldn't happen to be this kid, would it? We invited a retired senior expert from the provincial museum, and even he couldn't make a call. Yet you brought in this rookie. Isn't this just a joke? Wang Wei, standing to the side, also frowned. He warned Lin Feng that this jade was very special. It looked like Warring States craftsmanship but also had traces of Han Dynasty 8-cut style. He told him to look closely and not speak nonsense. Su Qingxue furrowed her brows and told Xiaobin to watch his tone. Lin Feng nodded expressionlessly and walked up to the table. He didn't touch it immediately. Instead, he secretly activated his X-ray vision. His gaze pierced through the jade's outer shell, and the sight inside sent a massive shock through his heart. This wasn't a complete piece of ancient jade at all. The inside was entirely filled with artificial epoxy resin and tiny bubbles, with only a paper-thin veneer of real ancient jade fragments wrapped around the surface. Right at that moment, Lin Feng unexpectedly spotted a tiny piece of jade chalcedony inside, radiating a warm, cyan glow. Suddenly, a muffled boom echoed in his mind, and countless golden runes flooded his brain. A warm current of air instantly surged through his meridians. Lin Feng was completely stunned. He had actually received the legacy of the Taiyi medical classic, which included acupuncture, pharmacology, and even alchemy. And that warm current in his body was none other than internal energy. Suppressing the raging storm in his heart, he kept a straight face. He picked up a magnifying glass and a strong flashlight, pretending to inspect the jade while rapidly digesting all this new information. A few minutes later, Lin Feng put down the tools. Xiaobin crossed his arms and sneered. Well, kid, see anything? Are you so scared stupid that you can't even speak? Lin Feng slowly looked up, gave Xiaobin a cold smirk, and asked if it was true that even the senior expert from the provincial museum couldn't figure it out. Xiaobin arrogantly declared that a heavy-hitting treasure of this caliber was something Lin Feng would never touch in his entire life. Lin Feng's voice suddenly rose. Then what if I told you that this so-called Warring States treasure, the one that stumped you and your provincial museum expert, the one you worship like a god, is actually a worthless piece of trash filled with resin and jade powder? It's a modern fake. Would you believe that? Xiaobin jumped up, pointing right at Lin Feng's nose, and cursed. Who the hell do you think you are? How dare you spout nonsense here and slander a national treasure? President Su, I strongly suggest we throw this raving lunatic out. Wang Wei also stood up, sternly demanding to know what proof Lin Feng had. Su Qingxue was equally shocked. She asked Lin Feng if he was absolutely sure and told him to show the evidence. Lin Feng sneered, staring straight at Xiaobin. Manager Zhao, you're so worked up. Could it be that you were the one who strongly pushed to buy this national treasure? Xiaobin's face changed, a flash of panic crossing his eyes. He coldly told Su Qingxue not to listen to his nonsense. Lin Feng teased. Why are you getting so defensive? Then he turned to Su Qingxue and said with absolute certainty, Sister Su, please get me a glass of warm water, a thin metal probe, and an alcohol lamp. Su Qingxue gave Lin Feng a deep look, then turned and brought him exactly what he asked for. Lin Feng took the glass, dipped his finger in the water, and gently rubbed and pressed it against a crevice where the jade's color seep was the darkest. A dozen seconds later, the edge of that dark brown color seep actually began to slightly dissolve and bleed, even giving off a very faint smell of chemical dye. Lin Feng pointed at the ancient jade and said, Look closely, real color seeps last for thousands of years and never change in water. This chemical dye dissolves the moment it touches water, that is hard proof. Wang Wei rushed to the table and stared intently, his hands trembling. He exclaimed that the aging technique was unbelievably deceptive, admitting that after a lifetime of appraising, he had finally been played for a fool today. Beside him, Xiaobin was completely panicked, breaking out in a cold sweat. Lin Feng didn't stop his movements. He picked up the metal probe, sterilized it over the alcohol lamp, and gently pierced a tiny, extremely hidden bubble hole at the bottom of the ancient jade. The tip of the needle went in almost a centimeter without any resistance. When he slowly pulled it out, there was clearly a speck of transparent, partially unsolidified epoxy resin on the tip. Lin Feng held up the probe and said calmly, The internal structure is filled with resin. Do I still need to smash it open to show everyone the high-tech from the Warring States period inside? The truth was out, and a dead silence fell over the office. Wang Wei beat his chest in frustration, his face flushed red as he admitted it was a brilliant forgery, ashamed to have failed President Su's trust. Xiaobin's legs gave way, and he slumped to the floor. His face was ashen, unable to utter a single word. Su Qingxue looked at Lin Feng, her eyes full of shock and admiration. She had only wanted to give it a try, never expecting this lowly security guard to have such a sharp eye, saving the company from millions in potential losses. She turned to the collapsed Zhao Bin, her voice icy.
Zhao Bin, go to the finance department and settle your salary immediately. Then go to the board of directors and explain exactly how this jade was acquired.
After dealing with Zhao Bin, Su Qingxue turned to Lin Feng. Her tone became exceptionally solemn and gentle, stating that she would remember this favor, and directly transferred him 30,000 yuan as a consulting fee. Lin Feng wanted to decline, but under Su Qingxue's insistence, he accepted it. He felt deeply emotional. Just a day ago, he was still worrying about his mother's medical bills. Now, with his X-ray vision and the legacy of the Taiyi medical classic, earning 30,000 yuan was so easy that it felt a bit unreal. Wang Wei excitedly asked Lin Feng who his master was, but Lin Feng replied that he didn't have one. The admiration in Wang Wei's eyes grew even stronger. He repeatedly praised him for being self-taught, and proactively handed over his business card, hoping for a chance to discuss things in the future. Before taking his leave, after seeing Wang Wei out, Su Qingxue closed the office door and sized Lin Feng up once again. She secretly evaluated the security guard as calm, sharp, and low-key. She even changed her address for him to Xiao Feng, and offered to treat him to a casual meal to express her gratitude. Unable to refuse, Lin Feng nodded in agreement. Not long after, he followed Su Qingxue to an elegant private restaurant near the company. Inside the private room, just as they sat down and Su Qingxue picked up her teacup to take a sip, Lin Feng suddenly felt a chilling sensation. He snapped his head up, his X-ray vision activating silently without him realizing. He discovered that the chilling sensation was coming from a white jade pendant worn under Su Qingxue's clothes, resting right between her breasts. Su Qingxue was about to offer Lin Feng a job at her Tsuyu pavilion, but she noticed his gaze fixed straight on her chest. Being stared at like this, Su Qingxue's cheeks flushed. A hint of misunderstanding and annoyance rose in her heart. She subconsciously straightened her back a little, trying to move her chest away from his line of sight, and asked him what he was looking at with a touch of displeasure in her tone. Lin Feng seemed not to hear her. In his X-ray vision, all his attention was focused entirely on that jade pendant. He could clearly see a trace of black energy, tangled like hair, slowly flowing inside the pendant. This ominous, chilling energy was seeping through the pendant and penetrating into Su Qingxue's heart, thread by thread. Shock filled Lin Feng's eyes as he cried out inwardly. This pendant was worn by a dead person, and that black energy was death energy. Seeing his expression, Su Qingxue became even more certain that he was staring at her chest. Her pretty face darkened slightly, and she was just about to speak up and warn him. But then Lin Feng suddenly looked up. His eyes were sharp and clear, without the slightest hint of indecency, but instead filled with seriousness and concern. He spoke in a deep voice. Sister Su, forgive my presumption, but where did you get this jade pendant you're wearing on your chest? Su Qingxue froze for a moment, and the displeasure on her face vanished. Realizing she had misunderstood Lin Feng, she suddenly felt a bit embarrassed. She explained that she had picked up this jade pendant as a bargain from a street stall, and asked Lin Feng if there was something wrong with it. Seeing Lin Feng nod solemnly in confirmation, Su Qingxue felt a bit unconvinced. As the head of Tsuyu Pavilion, she believed she still had the eye to distinguish the authenticity and material of jade. Lin Feng stood up, pointed at her chest, and said, Sister Su, I'm not saying there's a problem with the material. The jade is absolutely real, and of quite good quality. What I'm saying is, this jade was unearthed from a tomb. In other words, it was stripped off a dead body. Hearing this, Su Qingxue's face was filled with disbelief, and her voice trembled slightly.
Xiao Feng, you're not joking with me, are you?
She subconsciously took the pendant off her neck, suddenly feeling a wave of disgust. Lin Feng walked over, gently picked up the pendant, and explained that he felt a surge of death energy within the jade. This jade had been meticulously treated so ordinary people wouldn't feel it, but he could say with absolute certainty that this was an item unearthed from a tomb. With his X-ray vision and the legacy of the Taiyi medical classic, Lin Feng was 100% sure he wasn't mistaken. By now, Su Qingxue's face had turned deathly pale, and she somewhat believed Lin Feng's words. She looked at the jade as if it were a venomous snake, asking Lin Feng how to deal with it. Lin Feng told her that if she didn't mind the loss, the best method was to shatter the jade and disperse the energy. Although there wasn't much death energy, wearing it for a long time would cause the death energy to merge with her life energy, which would be extremely harmful to the human body. Su Qingxue didn't hesitate at all.
Alright then, smash it.
Lin Feng directly shattered the pendant, watching as a wisp of death energy dissipated into the private room. Su Qingxue expressed her gratitude, saying Lin Feng had helped her out yet again today, and she really didn't know how to thank him. Lin Feng smiled and said it was nothing. Setting down her teacup, Su Qingxue leaned forward slightly, teasing him with a mix of admiration and curiosity.
It might be nothing to you, but for me, you just helped me dodge a massive bullet. I'll definitely remember this favor. But, Xiao Feng, your eyes are way too sharp, aren't they? You could tell there was a problem with the jade right through my clothes. Don't tell me you actually have some kind of superpower?
Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat, but he kept a straight face and laughed it off, claiming it was just an intuition he'd honed over years in the rough stone market. Inwardly, he broke into a cold sweat, reminding himself to be much more careful when using his X-ray vision in the future. To change the subject, Lin Feng reminded Su Qingxue to be more careful when buying items meant to be worn close to the body. Su Qingxue patted her chest, looking like she was still recovering from the shock, and laughed, saying that from now on, whenever she got a good piece, she'd definitely have Master Lin take a look first. The atmosphere became relaxed and harmonious again. Su Qingxue brought up their earlier topic again.
Xiao Feng, like I said before, being a lowly security guard is a waste of your talents. If you don't want to come work for me, why not become an appraisal streamer? With your skills, you could definitely make good money.
The idea of becoming an appraisal streamer made Lin Feng's eyes light up. He felt it was indeed a solid way to make money. After chatting for a bit longer, Lin Feng checked the time and stood up to leave, saying he needed to head back to the hospital to visit his mother. Su Qingxue quickly stood up, urging him to hurry with genuine concern, and told him not to hesitate if he ever needed any help. After leaving the restaurant, Lin Feng headed straight to the hospital. Meanwhile, left alone in the private room, Su Qingxue's curiosity about Lin Feng only grew stronger. Arriving at the hospital ward, his mother, Xiao Wanru, was in much better spirits, though her face was still a bit pale. Seeing Lin Feng, she immediately broke into a kind smile, telling him that she had nurses here and he didn't need to keep running over all the time. Xiao Wanru had always felt incredibly guilty, knowing her son had quit his great job at the Institute of Archaeology just to take care of her illness. Lin Feng sat by the bed, carefully peeling an apple for his mother while chatting about everyday things. "Mom, I'm not busy. Spending time with you is exactly what I should be doing." Time slowly ticked by, and Lin Feng stayed at the hospital until past 8 in the evening. Her heart aching for her son, Xiao Wanru repeatedly urged him.
Xiao Feng, Mom can get out of bed now. Hurry back and get some rest, be a good boy. If anything actually happens, I'll call you.
Under his mother's constant urging, Lin Feng finally left the ward. Returning to his familiar, slightly shabby single-room rental, he stood in the middle of the room and took a deep breath. He knew very well that even though he had made some money today, his mother's ongoing recovery and treatment would still require a massive amount of cash. Lin Feng secretly made a vow. Now that he had special abilities, he had to make good money, strive to give his mother a better life, and buy a house of their own. Thinking back to Su Qingxue's suggestion, he decided to register an account and become an appraisal streamer. After a quick wash, Lin Feng turned on his computer and registered the account. Then, he gave the security captain, Li Kuei, a call. As soon as it connected, Li Kuei started mocking him.
Yo, Lin Feng, what made you think of calling me?
Lin Feng fired back without hesitation. "Listen here, Li, I'm calling to tell you that I quit." Li Kuei froze for a second, then sneered.
Well, looks like you really did latch onto that rich sugar mommy Su Qingxue. You're talking real tough now.
Lin Feng retorted that his relationship with Sister Su wasn't that filthy. But Li Kuei wouldn't let it go.
Sister Su, you sure call her affectionately, damn it. Just wait until that rich lady dumps you, and you come crawling back to beg me. Let me tell you, I won't take you back.
Lin Feng just replied, "Don't worry, that day will never come." With that, he hung up the phone. Over the next few days, Lin Feng poured all his energy into his appraisal live streams. As he showed off his vast knowledge, his reputation gradually began to grow. Looking at the back-end analytics, Lin Feng was completely dumbfounded.
Holy crap, in just a few days, my followers have shot up by hundreds of thousands. Am I a huge internet celebrity now?
Hundreds of thousands of followers, he wouldn't have even dared to dream of this before. When he first started streaming, he had a few dozen viewers at most, but today was a completely different story. The moment he went live, the viewer count in his stream began to skyrocket at an astonishing rate. Dozens, hundreds, thousands. In just a few short minutes, the concurrent viewers broke the 10,000 mark, and it showed absolutely no signs of stopping. The screen was flooded with a frenzy of scrolling comments, and before long, the viewer count smashed through the 100,000 milestone. Lin Feng knew very well that this was all thanks to the hype from him cutting open that jade in public yesterday. He cleared his throat, thanked everyone for tuning in, and got straight to the point. He announced the usual rules for live appraisal calls and stated that his assessments were strictly his own personal opinions. The first person to connect on video was a young guy with glasses, carefully holding a blue and white porcelain vase, claiming it was an antique from the Qianlong era left by his grandfather. Lin Feng secretly used his X-ray vision to scan it and frowned slightly. He pointed out that the vase's clay body was rough, the blue and white color looked superficial, and the wear on the base was unnatural. It was likely just a modern replica from the 80s or 90s. Hearing this, the young man thanked him, his face full of disappointment. Over the next few call-ins, Lin Feng used his sharp eye and X-ray vision to perfectly analyze various small boutique items and modern crafts, drawing waves of gasps from the chat. Just as the stream's atmosphere was reaching its peak, a new call-in request popped up. Lin Feng casually clicked to accept. The video feed was dimly lit, and the camera was pointed solely at a wooden box on a table, with no face in sight. Then, a distorted, raspy electronic voice came through.
Master Lin, I have something here. I'd like you to appraise it for me.
Lin Feng stared at the screen, his pupils shrinking slightly. Using his X-ray vision, he instantly saw through the caller's surroundings it was actually a tomb. Lin Feng went on high alert. He guessed the guy was likely a tomb raider. People like that were usually ruthless, so he had to handle this carefully. Right then, the person on screen slowly opened the wooden box. Resting quietly on a red silk lining was a dark brown bronze seal, still bearing traces of dirt. The seal knob was carved into a bizarre-looking mythical beast. Lin Feng's eyes locked onto the bronze seal, and his heart instantly pounded with shock. Through his vision, he clearly saw a faint but pure wisp of power contained within the bronze seal. A barely noticeable trace of black baleful aura also faintly swirled around it. Lin Feng was secretly astounded. This guy had actually entered the tomb of a warring states general. He was definitely a top-tier tomb raider. But he kept a straight face. Narrowing his eyes, he fully activated his X-ray vision to get a clearer look at the bronze seal, which carried the chilling, bloodthirsty aura of a battlefield. Seeing Lin Feng stay silent, the electronic voice spoke up again, sounding a bit impatient.
Master Lin?
Lin Feng took a deep breath and gently tapped his fingers on the desk. Brother, this seal of yours is far from simple. The caller immediately pressed him to explain why. Lin Feng paused, then spoke word by word. The knob is carved as Yazi, one of the 9 sons of the dragon. It loves killing and fighting, and is often engraved on weapons. The bronze of this seal is highly refined. Though buried for a long time, it holds an inner brilliance. The lines are a classic Warring States Panchi pattern, strictly laid out and majestic. But more importantly, this seal exudes the aura of a battlefield, entrenched with a baleful aura. If I'm not mistaken, this should be the tiger tally seal used by a commanding general during the Warring States period to deploy troops. Plus, the smell hasn't even faded yet. As soon as he said this, the screen full of chat comments went quiet for a second, then completely exploded. The viewers quickly realized that the smell hasn't faded clearly meant the item was acquired illegally, and the guy on the call was highly likely a tomb raider. The other end of the screen fell silent for a few seconds. Then, a few eerie chuckles came through.
Master Lin, great eye. So in your opinion, how many mantu is this thing worth?
Lin Feng didn't take the bait about its value. Instead, he leaned forward slightly, his tone carrying a hint of warning. Brother, this isn't a matter of mantu. Some things don't need to be spelled out. This item has a heavy baleful aura that ordinary people can't suppress. Keeping it in your hands could bring fortune or disaster. It's hard to say. According to the rules, some things are better left to return where they belong, like a museum. It's too hot to hold on to. That was already quite blunt, practically stating outright that the item was stolen goods. The stream's chat quickly followed suit. Some supported handing it over to the state, while others urged the caller to turn himself in for leniency. However, another low, electronic chuckle came from the screen, carrying a bit of mockery.
Ha, Master Lin, thanks for the appraisal. Until we meet again.
Right after, a hand reached over and slowly closed the lid of the wooden box. Before the voice even faded, the video connection was instantly cut, and the screen went pitch black. The stream was left with viewers still craving more and a rolling chat. Everyone was exclaiming whether the guy had a guilty conscience and ran off, while others urged Lin Feng to call the police immediately. Lin Feng looked at the stream interface that had returned to normal, frowning slightly. He knew very well that a brazen person like this would never turn over a new leaf just because of a few words of advice. Recalling that Warring States General's troop deployment seal, along with the ancient tomb environment the caller was in, Lin Feng felt a sense of familiarity, as if he had seen it in a book somewhere. He thought to himself in shock, realizing this thing looked a bit like the tiger tally seal of great General Lian. At that thought, Lin Feng suddenly shuddered. He immediately thought of the heavy Warring States artifact Su Qingxue had asked him to appraise earlier. His hair stood on end as he suspected whether these items came from the same tomb, or if they were even looted by the same group of people. Just as he was about to compose himself and say a few polite words to the viewers, a private message notification suddenly chimed in the background. Lin Feng casually clicked it open, and his voice instantly caught in his throat. The photo was dimly lit, showing a hand gripping the very same Warring States General's seal from the video. Below it was an attached message.
Master Lin, great eye. Then, how about taking a look at this?
Immediately after, a second photo was sent over, and the caption pierced him like an ice pick.
A fragmented scroll of the Lianshan Yi. Want to get your hands on it and take a look?
Lin Feng's mind buzzed. This was the legendary foremost of the 3E, lost for thousands of years. The academic world even believes no physical text of it had ever survived. If this was real, it would be enough to completely rewrite the understanding of ancient civilizations. The Warring States General's seal and tiger tally could still make sense, but how could something from myths like the Lianshan Yi appear at the same time? Lin Feng realized that this was definitely no ordinary tomb raiding, but a bottomless vortex. Before he could even recover his senses, a third, exceptionally clear photo popped up. The image showed a damaged bamboo scroll covered in ancient tadpole script, with a jade scraping knife from the Warring States period used for erasing mistakes lying right next to it. Lin Feng could tell at a glance that this was absolutely authentic. Not only could the other party get their hands on a national treasure of this caliber, but they had also actively sought him out. Immediately after, the person sent a message, asking him to meet face-to-face, alone, in the back alley of Zhuge in the south of the city at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Lin Feng typed on his keyboard to test the waters.
Who are you? I'm just a small-time appraisal streamer. I have no interest in your Lianshan Yi.
But the other party directly exposed his background.
Master Lin, you're being too modest. At Guixu Pavilion, you recognized that the Warring States' ancient jade was a fake at a single glance. That kind of sharp eye isn't something an ordinary person possesses. Seeing the words, Guixu Pavilion, Lin Feng instantly understood. The only people present at that time were Su Qingxue, Wang Wei, and Zhao Bin. Sister Su was unlikely. That left Wang Wei and Zhao Bin, with Zhao Bin being the most probable suspect. After all, Zhao Bin had lost his job because of him and was even facing prison time. Then came a deadly threat. Remember, come alone.
Otherwise, I can't guarantee that your mother won't run into any trouble. The fact that they had even investigated his mother's illness so thoroughly made Lin Feng instantly furious.
You bastards, don't you dare.
The other party, however, casually reassured him that as long as he showed up, they guaranteed his mother would be fine.
Then, they went offline.
For his mother's safety, Lin Feng knew he had to go tomorrow. Suppressing his anger, he forced a stiff smile at the camera.
Everyone, I'm sorry, something urgent just came up. That's all for today's stream.
With that, he cut the stream, checked the time, and rushed back to the hospital overnight. Arriving at the hospital and seeing his mother, Xiao Wanru, sleeping peacefully in her ward, Lin Feng finally breathed a sigh of relief. Just then, a sudden gasp echoed down the hallway.
A group of fierce-looking bodyguards in black suits rushed a stretcher straight toward the emergency room.
Lying on the stretcher was a stunningly beautiful woman, pale and unconscious. The head bodyguard anxiously urged the doctors to save her.
A doctor made a quick assessment after a rapid check.
Vitals are weak, blood pressure is dropping steadily.
It might be internal bleeding. We need an immediate exploratory surgery.
Lin Feng instinctively used his X-ray vision to look over, and his heart suddenly sank.
It wasn't internal bleeding at all.
Instead, there was an extremely tiny tumor in a tricky spot near the beauty's heart, which was pressing right against her cardiovascular vessels and causing the shock.
If they really operated on her for internal bleeding, this woman would definitely die.
Seeing the stretcher about to be pushed in, Lin Feng shouted out,
"Don't take her in. If you treat her like this, she'll die."
This shout instantly drew everyone's attention.
After yelling, Lin Feng himself was a bit stunned.
The thought of healing the sick and saving lives kept popping into his head. He then realized that the Taiyi medical classic was influencing him.
Suppressing his thoughts, he quickly stepped forward. The attending physician, Lu Ming, immediately scolded him harshly, asking where this lunatic came from. The head bodyguard was also furious and ordered his men to throw Lin Feng out. Seeing several burly bodyguards about to step up, Lin Feng spoke with absolute certainty.
She's not in regular shock. There's a tiny, hidden tumor next to her heart that just shifted suddenly, instantly compressing the main blood vessel. If you treat her for standard shock now, or blindly open her chest for exploration, you'll only accelerate her death.
Lu Ming laughed out of sheer anger.
Who the hell are you to play doctor here? We haven't even done a preliminary check, and you're diagnosing her from thin air. Are you some kind of god?
Lin Feng was about to say he had X-ray vision, but swallowed the words right as they reached his lips.
He could only bite the bullet and continue.
I'm not lying to you. Right next to the pericardium on her left chest, nearly 2 centimeters deep, a tumor the size of a grain of rice suddenly shifted and has already compressed her lateral coronary artery to the point of occlusion.
Lu Ming yelled that he was crazy, and the head bodyguard also lost his temper.
Kid, get the fuck out of here. If anything happens to my lady, I'll kill your whole family.
Two bodyguards stopped wasting time and reached out to grab Lin Feng's shoulders. Lin Feng instinctively thrust his hands out, accurately gripping their wrists, as a surge of internal energy instantly flowed into their bodies. The two bodyguards cried out in pain, feeling their wrists go numb and sore, and stumbled backward. Lin Feng himself was a bit bewildered, not expecting his physical condition to have become this strong. He quickly took the opportunity to suggest, "If you don't believe me, you can use the finest probe to test the spot I mentioned, at the angle and depth I said. If you can draw out a small amount of dark red, non-blood tissue fluid, it proves I'm right. It will only take a few seconds and won't delay much time, but it can save her life."
Lin Feng's confident tone and the martial arts skill he just showed made Lu Ming hesitate a bit. Just then, an authoritative voice rang out. "Do as he says." The old director, Gu Feng, who had just hurried over, took one look at the faintly breathing patient and then at Lin Feng, before decisively ordering the probe to be prepared. Having practiced medicine for decades, Gu Feng knew that at a critical moment like this, it was better to believe it than not. Besides, the risk of testing with a probe was manageable. With the director's word, a nurse immediately brought over the finest thoracic puncture probe. Lu Ming took a deep breath and carefully inserted it according to the exact position and angle Lin Feng had instructed. At a depth of about 2 centimeters, he felt a slight breakthrough sensation under his hand, so he stopped and slowly pulled back the syringe. The next moment, a small amount of dark red, slightly viscous fluid strikingly appeared in the syringe.
Lu Ming's voice completely changed its pitch.
It really is abnormal tissue fluid caused by tumor compression."
Holding the syringe, he looked at Lin Feng in disbelief, his face burning with embarrassment. The whole room was in an uproar. The bodyguards' gazes toward Lin Feng instantly shifted from anger to shock and awe. Gu Feng quickly walked up to Lin Feng and solemnly cupped his hands in a respectful salute.
"Young sir, you are truly a master. My old eyes were blind, and we almost cost her life. May I ask, how should we treat her next? Open her chest to remove the tumor?"
Lin Feng was about to say he didn't know how, but right on cue, the exact treatment methods and steps surfaced in his mind. He immediately spoke up. "Opening her chest now is too risky. The tumor's position is extremely tricky, and the risk of hitting a cardiovascular vessel is way too high. Let's use silver needles first to stabilize her heart meridian, clear the compressed blood vessels, and relieve the pressure. Let her wake up and get out of danger first, then you can plan a careful surgery later." Gu Feng didn't hesitate, immediately ordering someone to fetch the best silver needles. Lin Feng took them, held his breath, and focused. The profound acupuncture techniques inherited in his mind awakened like pure instinct. His hands moved like lightning, precisely inserting silver needles one by one into the major acupoints around the woman's chest and neck. Watching his incredibly profound technique, with varying depths of insertion, Gu Feng was absolutely stunned. As Lin Feng placed the final needle, the woman on the stretcher let out a muffled groan of pain, and a trace of color visibly returned to her pale face. On the ECG monitor next to them, the heart rate curve that was about to flatline suddenly spiked, then became strong and regular. Her blood pressure and oxygen levels were also rapidly recovering.
Gasps of amazement erupted all around.
"She's awake. Look, the young lady is responding."
A miracle doctor.
He's truly a miracle doctor. The bodyguards were so thrilled they had tears in their eyes, almost dropping to their knees before Lin Feng. Gu Feng and the group of doctors were completely dumbfounded, feeling like they had just witnessed a miracle that defied modern medical knowledge. Lin Feng let out a long sigh of relief.
The Taiyi medical classic hadn't let him down.
But the very next second, his vision suddenly went dark, followed by an overwhelming wave of weakness.
He knew this was the result of overusing his X-ray vision.
Seeing his pale face and unsteady steps, Gu Feng quickly ran over to check on him. Lin Feng shook his head, indicating he was just a bit exhausted. A few minutes later, he slowly removed the needles and left a quick instruction.
"All right, you guys handle the rest. I have things to do."
Gu Feng still wanted to ask about his acupuncture techniques and his master, but Lin Feng's dizziness was getting worse.
He didn't even give them a chance to speak, simply turning and leaving. Right now, all he wanted to do was sleep.
Not long after Lin Feng left, the eyelashes of the woman on the stretcher fluttered, and she slowly opened her eyes. She felt the suffocating pressure in her chest vanish. Though her body was weak, it was full of vitality. Even though she had been unconscious, she could vaguely sense everything that happened around her. The head bodyguard excitedly leaned in, saying she was finally awake.
The woman spoke up and asked,
"Who saved me just now?"
The head bodyguard reported in a low voice, his eyes full of admiration, saying that a young miracle doctor diagnosed her condition at a glance and used silver needles to pull her back from the gates of hell. The woman sat up,
wanting to find him, but Lin Feng was long gone. Just then, a bodyguard rolled a wheelchair out of the car and placed it in front of her, inviting her to sit. All the medical staff present froze, only then realizing that this woman was actually crippled. Gu Feng stepped forward to ask for the young lady's name, stating that she needed to go to a ward for further examination.
The woman calmly replied,
My name is Chu Lingwei.
The moment the name Chu Lingwei was spoken, the expressions on Gu Feng and the doctor's faces instantly froze, then turned into sheer disbelief and shock.
That was the eldest daughter of the Chu family.
Even with her leg disability and relying on a wheelchair, she still wielded immense power in the business world and was the absolute apple of the Chu family patriarch's eye. Gu Feng's voice took on a hint of barely noticeable reverence as he quickly invited Miss Chu to rest in a VIP ward so they could run the most comprehensive tests.
Chu Lingwei waved her hand slightly and gave a sharp order to the head bodyguard.
Go investigate. I want all the information on that young miracle doctor.
The head bodyguard immediately took the order and left to get it done. After Gu Feng and the others respectfully escorted Chu Lingwei to the VIP ward, the bodyguard returned and whispered a few words in her ear.
Chu Lingwei pondered for a moment, then instructed.
Arrange for Miracle Dr. Lin's mother to be moved to a VIP ward. Then, assign 2 people to guard outside her room to ensure she isn't disturbed. Also, keep it quiet. Don't let him think it's an act of charity.
Meanwhile, running almost purely on instinct, Lin Feng dragged his completely drained body back to his small, shabby rented apartment. He didn't even take off his shoes when he walked in, just face-planted onto the hard bed and fell into a deep sleep. By the time he opened his eyes again, it was already getting light outside.
He grabbed his worn-out phone and saw it was 5:30 a.m.
Lin Feng rubbed his throbbing temples and sat up. The events of the past 2 days flashed through his mind like a movie on fast forward.
He began to carefully study the inheritance of the Taiyi medical classic and his X-ray vision. By the time the sun was fully up, he finally understood their limitations. His X-ray vision was like a mana bar in a video game. Looking at ordinary objects didn't consume much, but using it to treat an illness like today caused excessive drain, leading to extreme weakness and dizziness. And that Taiyi medical classic didn't just contain acupuncture.
It also included a vast array of knowledge like feng shui, ancient martial arts for body strengthening, and pill refining. He felt a warm current of air flowing around his dantian, so he began to cultivate according to the breathing technique in the classic.
An hour later, Lin Feng had completely recovered and was full of energy.
Remembering his afternoon appointment, a cold glint flashed in Lin Feng's eyes.
3 p.m., the back alley of Zhuge in the south of the city. I'd like to see exactly who you people are.
Seeing it was still early, he grabbed a quick bite to eat and hurried to the hospital, planning to take care of his mother and give her a few reminders. But when he arrived at the ward, he found his mother wasn't there at all, and the things on her bed were neatly folded. Lin Feng's face drastically changed, and he immediately cursed under his breath.
Damn it!
His first reaction was that the mysterious person holding the Lianshan Yi fragment had made a move. Just as he was about to call Xiao Wanru, a voice suddenly came from behind him.